The president and his goons have been threatening everyone from sitting congressmen to ambassadors as new evidence emerges in his impeachment trial. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. I'm no lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that when suspects go on trial for crimes, they try not to commit more crimes. Donald Trump, however, is a different sort of criminal. For Trump, crimes are kind of like Lay's potato chips. Betcha can't do just one. But hey, you got to at least give Trump points for commitment. One crime isn't enough for him. He's always got to do like 5 at once. He's like a guy who steals a camcorder, sneaks into a movie theater without paying, illegally records it, sells the bootleg DVD on the street, gets arrested, busts out of jail, and then holds a screening of the movie in a house he broke into. For example, after Democrats led by Congressman Adam Schiff completed their arguments in the Senate impeachment trial last week, Trump decided to threaten Schiff, who, of course, is also one of the prosecutors in the trial. First, here's a brief excerpt of Schiff's detailed oral argument in which he laid out the case for removing Trump from office.
Can any of us really have the confidence that Donald Trump will put his personal interests ahead of the national interest? You know you can't count on him to do that. That's the sad truth. You know you can't count on him to do that. And you know you can't trust this president do what's right for this country. You can trust he will do what's right for Donald Trump. He'll do it now. He's done it before. He'll do it for the next several months. He'll do it in the election if he's allowed to.
It's true. Donald Trump has never done anything in his life that didn't benefit him personally. I'm pretty sure when he placed his hand on the Bible to take the oath of office, he slipped Chief Justice John Roberts a $20 bill. There's more when that came from, because I'm definitely going to get impeached. And that's why Schiff's oral argument was so important. He laid out in detail how our Constitution set up the presidency as a public trust, and that Trump had repeatedly violated that trust. And Trump clearly saw Schiff's speech, and he decided to menace Schiff on Twitter on Sunday.
Shifty Adam Schiff is a corrupt politician and probably a very sick man. He has not paid the price yet for what he has done to our country.
Okay, first of all, what do you mean he hasn't paid the price? Almost everything Trump says sounds like a deleted scene from The Irishman. Just kidding. There were no deleted scenes from The Irishman. Also, he hasn't paid a price. No one has had a more charmed, consequence-free life than Donald Trump. He's like Mr. Magoo driving off a cliff and then gently floating down to the ground because he accidentally opened his umbrella. Except Mr. Magoo would actually know how to close an umbrella. Now, it seems like Trump was probably lashing out at Schiff after Schiff cited a report from CBS claiming that Trump had warned Senate Republicans, who were also supposed to be impartial jurors in the trial, not to cross him. Here's the CBS report, and then Schiff's comments citing that report.
One Trump confidant tells CBS News that GOP senators have been warned. Vote against the president, and your head will be on a pike.
CBS News reported last night that a Trump confidant said that GOP senators were warned, vote against your president, vote against the president, and your head will be on a pike. Now, I don't know if that's true.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's definitely true. Although, I will say the only thing that makes me doubt this story is the fact that Trump probably has no idea what a pike is. The only pike he's familiar with is the New Jersey Turnpike. I'm going to put your head on a pike, exit 15 by Secaucus. Then me and my friends are going to go hit the mall. Then after Schiff made that comment, GOP senators feigned shock that he would suggest they might be beholden to a president who has routinely threatened anyone who crosses him. Senator John Barrasso said he has basically offended every Republican senator in there tonight. Senator Susan Collins said, I know of no Republican senator who has been threatened in any way by anyone in the administration. And Senator Lisa Murkowski said, I thought he was doing fine with moral courage until he got to the head on a pike. That's where he lost me. Oh, is that where he lost you? I was gonna vote to convict Trump, but then Schiff implied he was a bully, and that is where I draw the line. What's next? Is Schiff going to claim Trump's a golfer who stands like a mama bear scaring away a predator? I mean, let's remember, this is a guy who fights with or attacks literally anyone who crosses him, including Republicans, Gold Star families, and even his closest friends and allies, if they even so much as question him in public. Trump has done this repeatedly. He went after former GOP Congressman Mark Sanford and endorsed Sanford's primary opponent just because Sanford criticized him on TV. And Trump even brought up the fact that Sanford had covered up an extramarital affair by claiming he'd been hiking the Appalachian Trail. Although, as we've noted before, Trump kept getting the name wrong.
He was supposed to be vacationing on the Tallahassee Trail, but he was actually in Argentina. I don't know. Jim, do they have a Tallahassee Trail in Argentina? Never liked him too much. I wasn't a big fan. The Tallahassee Trail must be a beautiful place. Unfortunately, he didn't go there.
No, he didn't, because it doesn't exist. The Tallahassee Trail sounds like the patch of back hair that leads down into your jorts. So the president threatened the prosecutor and the members of the jury in his Senate impeachment trial. And then we also found out that he had seemingly threatened the former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, at a private dinner in 2018. You might recall that Yovanovitch was a key witness in the House impeachment hearing. She was seen as a crusader against corruption and therefore an obstacle to Trump and Rudy's corrupt plan to get Ukraine to dig up dirt on Joe Biden. So Trump and Rudy wanted her out. And last week, a tape surfaced in which Trump could be heard talking about Yovanovitch in menacing tones with two of his indicted henchmen, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman. Do you remember these two guys? If you have trouble remembering who's who, Lev is the hot one. Now, you might remember that Trump has repeatedly claimed he doesn't know these two guys, which is obviously a lie, given how often Trump has had to say it.
Sir, what conversations have you had with Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman?
I don't know those gentlemen. I don't know them. I don't know about them. I don't know what they do.
I will say this. Parnas, I don't know.
I don't know him.
I don't know anything about him.
Well, I don't know him. I don't know Parnas. I don't know him at all. Don't know what he's about. Don't know where he comes from. Know nothing about him. I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever spoken to him, but I don't know him. I had never had a conversation that I remember with him. I don't need the help of a man that I never met before. I don't even know who this man is. No, I don't know him. I know nothing about him.
When you have to say you've never met someone that many times, you've definitely met that person. It's like if your wife asked, do you know Julia next door? And you said, I don't know her, never talked to her, don't know who she is, or where she came from, or what she does. I've never spoken to her. I've never had a conversation with her. Who is she? I don't know her. Your wife would have her bags packed before you finish talking. Well, to no one's surprise, it turns out Trump very much did know these guys, and now we have an audio recording of Trump talking to Parnas at a private dinner in 2018 that's in the hands of federal authorities in which they discuss getting rid of Yovanovitch.
ABC News has reviewed a recording of what appears to be a conversation between Parnas, the president, and others. A copy of the recording is in the hands of the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York. Sources familiar with the recording say it was made in April 2018 at a private dinner at the Trump International Hotel in Washington. Parnas and the president are heard discussing Ukraine and the American ambassador there, Marie Yovanovitch.
The biggest problem there, I think, where we need to start is we got to get rid of the ambassador. Get rid of her. Hooray. Okay, get her out tomorrow. I don't care. Get her out tomorrow. Take her out. Okay? Excellent. Do it.
How is it possible that so many people have secret recordings of the president? I mean, this idiot has had more microphones and hidden cameras on him than Jim Carrey in The Truman Show. Michael Cohen had secret recordings of Trump. Omarosa had secret recordings of Trump. And now this guy. Trump was so worried about Obama spying on him, he failed to notice that everyone else was. This is why it's so crucial that the Senate vote to allow new evidence to be considered in the impeachment trial, because almost every day new evidence emerges. In fact, just last night we got more bombshell reporting about a tell-all book being written by Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. You might remember that according to witnesses, Bolton wanted no part of Trump and Rudy's Ukraine scheme, calling it a drug deal and saying Giuliani's a hand grenade who's going to blow everybody up. Of course, if anything, Rudy looks like he blew himself up. That's how he lost his neck. Luckily, they were able to sew my head right back onto my shoulders. Now it turns out that in his forthcoming book, Bolton plans to lay out in detail that Trump told him explicitly that he wanted to hold up hundreds of millions of dollars in aid to Ukraine in order to force them to help him cheat in the 2020 election.
The New York Times reports that former National Security Advisor John Bolton's upcoming book will say the president personally tied aid to Ukraine to an investigation of the Bidens.
It's insane. Every day, someone new comes forward with more evidence against Trump. Gordon Sondland, Lev Parnas, John Bolton, tomorrow the pilot on Air Force One is going to come forward and be like, the president ordered me to illegally park in a handicap spot. The president and his cabal of thuggish goons have threatened everyone from ambassadors to members of Congress as new evidence emerges every day of his crimes. And Republicans are feigning false outrage at an innocuous comment by Adam Schiff just to distract from the actual case. If Trump had any shame at all, he'd resign and disappear someplace no one could find him, like
The Tallahassee Trail.
We've been a closer look.